Hey, it's Raven Tactical here. I'm going to go over one of the other series we've been working on is the different team tactic loadouts. We covered Point Man in the previous one. We're going to do a Rifleman loadout. Rifleman is a lot more of a simple, easier to do one. Pretty much everybody could essentially be the Rifleman. The reason why we're kind of making kind of like little special teams or special individual tasks is it kind of breaks up the concept that everybody carries the same thing. It also breaks it up into the point where having specialized roles gives people a chance to rotate through from team lead to, having someone as Overwatch as a DMR or having someone, take point. It creates kind of a unique team blend. You could use Riflemen for everybody, and it's not a terrible thing. And a lot of the things are similar too. But what I would like to see more is, for us, it gives a chance that hey, you're breaking things down to a point where when you start giving each other tasks, not everybody wants to do, not everybody's gonna have the same task. So for us, a rifleman, I mean, you're typically gonna have your main battle rifle, your AKA AR. Barrel length is gonna be your 14 to 20 inch. So think M4, A2 style, AK-47. We're avoiding the pistol length ones, right? 7 to 11 combat, or 7 to 11 28 round combat mags. Now the concept I've seen before, it's a big discussion on things about combat loading your mags. So without having an AR up front, if you load an AR magazine to 30 rounds and the bolt's forward because in the heat of everything, you didn't have bolt lock back or while changing the bolt went forward, or you're changing a load, you're doing basically a tactical reload because you have the time. Trying to rack in a full magazine, slap it in, requires a little bit more force. A muscle memory thing, and a thing that can happen is people think they have that magazine locked and loaded. You've seen it before on ranges, you've seen it before on people who've done 3-gun or this, so they slap that magazine in, they go up, they maybe even get a shot, boom, but maybe the magazine falls out, or they get nothing and the magazine falls out. It's because that, to get that, the bolts across it, you're compressing in that magazine, you're compressing more into it. A simple way to do it is load 28. So having 28 rounds in a magazine gives a little bit detention off that spring, and the heat of the moment, the heat of the energy, when you're ramped up and energy's going and you're flowing, it's a little bit easier. You're making something where when shots count and seconds matter, you don't want to be the guy out there with a mag, fumbling with a magazine. So if you like that concept, I get it. Some people argue that you can do it without it. Hey, that's fine. Everybody can do. I got the philosophy is you do you. This is just one way we do it. I recommend it, but if you don't like it this way, hey, that's cool too. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Sidearm. I don't care what your sidearm is. I'd recommend a full-size pistol. If you're doing body armor and stuff, a drop leg holster works a lot better when you have body armor because the body armor tends to sit here. Trying to get this is difficult when you have, your vest sits here. So having a drop leg holster works down here. You probably can't see my hand. The problem I also run into is if you're driving or you're doing vehicle or you're in a different position, the drop leg holster works. You don't have to go crazy. 2 to 4 megs is fine. I mean, if you're using a Glock 17 or a Glock 20, that's plenty of ammunition for a sidearm for doing transitioning between, hey, my primary went down, I can go to my secondary until I can get my primary back up. IFAC, so your individual field kit or first aid, everybody should have one. It should all be in the same spot on your chest rig. So if your team has, the standard of having it, either to the right or left of you, depending on what primary side you shoot from, that could be something. You could have it on your chest, you could have it anywhere you want, but everybody needs the IFAC. And the IFAC is your first aid trauma for yourself. And the individual part's key. So if one of your guys came down, so let's say you're over here, you're the rifleman here, and the team leader gets hit. You're not going to use your IFAC. You're going to use the team leader's IFAC. You're going to use his IFAC to treat him, and vice versa. Because if you use the team leader's IFAC, or you use your IFAC to treat him, and you get hit next, this guy's going to come to you, and maybe now you're out of stuff. He doesn't have time to go down to here. A plate carrier and plates That's pretty standard for everybody. You're going to want at least like AR500 plates or ceramic plates. They're looking at the fact that AR500 plates, depending on your thickness, may not be the best option anymore. I'm looking at getting ceramics at a certain point just because it's a little more money, but the repeat hits and the ability of anti-spalling is kind of something that I'm pretty interested in. Radio, so everybody in the team should have some sort of individual radio. Here, let me just grab something like this. So right here is an ICOM, right? So it should be something small, something that you could put in your vest, keep it, it should be weatherproof, it should be waterproof kind of thing. And you can run it to your earpiece, a chest rig, a throat mic, all the things you want. But everybody should have one, because at least if you spread out and you do a different formation or you're going online, at least you can communicate between each other. Granted, you're going to wind up probably shouting if everything actually kicked off. So a radio is a good option. One of the things that you're going to look at too is sharing the load. So if you have someone that's like the squad gunner or the AR gunner or the guy that has more of the traditional, he's running the drums on a heavy barrel AR, right? He's going to act as your squad automatic guy, but obviously it's semi-auto. But he's going to have drums, right? Well, in order for him to carry it, that's a lot of weight. Well, what you could do is the squad could share the load. So the rifleman could carry one of the drums for that guy. He could also carry, I'm trying to think, he could carry extra things for someone else in the team too. So, it's kind of mixing the bag. I mean, in the concept of, in field tactic in a military sense, some people would help out, the squad gunner by carrying an extra drum, or they'd carry an extra claymore kind of thing. So think of it that way. Not everybody has to carry everything. You don't want to burn down the guy that's got the heavier equipment with more equipment. Spread it out. And when it comes to optics and sights, I mean, you're obviously going to have irons. It also has to be the irons that co-witness. So red dots and the EOTechs, right? Aim points and the EOTechs, primary, really good ones to use. The battle-proven Vortex makes a really good one. I would also say primary arms makes also a decent one as well if you're in the budget range. But it has to be able to co-witness. You can't be fooling around with having to take a quick release thing. It has to be able to co-witness that when you bring it up, oh, my red dot went down, I flip sights up, or I have the sights already flipped up, and I'm good to go. You can't be messing around with it. Your primary role as a rifleman is really putting rounds down range and making the movements, right? A 1-4 scope, it also kind of goes into the thing with kind of the red dot, right? So if you have a 1-4 scope, some of those scopes don't allow you to have irons, but if you could figure out a way to do it, I guess that might work. I have some seen, I don't see it anymore, but they used to do the 45-degree cants. So what it was, if you had your rifle, you'd cant it 45 degrees and have irons that way. It's a possibility. I wouldn't recommend having a 1-4 scope on this. You're gonna have your water. Everybody should have a Camelback kind of thing, or canteens. Camelbacks don't work in winter. Canteens do. Just to keep that as a note, Camelbacks will freeze and break, where canteens, if you keep them close to your body during winter when freezing, should stay warm, or from freezing. Then you come on to the same thing, right? Compass, GPS, Ranger beads, right? So the compass is important. I think everybody should have a compass. I'm talking like a lens-added compass, one that you can do grid, one that has the nice, a little bit fancier. They're a little bit more accurate. They cost about $50. You can actually point with it, and you can do mils, in degrees. GPS, it's a nice option to have. Garmin makes a really cool one. You can use it for grid coordinates or latitude and longitude. And then Ranger beads is kind of that whole pace count thing. Myself, I've never really got to use it that much. A lot of my compass course training, I wind up using more terrain association. I probably should have added map into here, because I feel like everybody should have an idea, map, and then, your standard notepad, Because if you do, you know, you want to know where you're at, right? If you get separated, you can figure out where you're at if you get separated that way. Pen and paper is the kind of standard thing to have. Maybe you're going to write, maybe the team leader is going to have a running mission for you. Maybe, you know, it's going to be, here's what we're going to do today, kind of thing. Here's our loadout. Here's, you know, the rest plan. If you were all watching, you know, sleeping, that way you can take notes. It's something simple to keep. You don't have to really overdo it. That's the thing. A lot of this, I feel, is pretty straightforward. The rifleman setup, I think, is pretty interesting. I think it's going to be, I mean, most people are going to take it and be rifleman for everything, right? Excuse me. You could take courses, and I recommend taking courses for tactical carbine and tactical carbine, Lego. Some have a level 1 and 2. I've taken 3 different carbine courses that way, and it's good. You get like a bunch of experience with running and gunning and working in teams. So with that, excuse me, man, this cold's kicking me. With that, this is Raven Tactical signing off. Thank you. And